No man is an island, entire of itself. Every man is a piece of the continent, a part of the man, especially if he has the Wi-Fi password. In 1624, when the English poet and cleric John Donne wrote those words, he couldn't have imagined that we'd all be walking around with a window to the world in our back pockets. But 170 or so years later, America's first president was intent on keeping his island continent free of what he famously called foreign entanglements, that endless series of hookups and breakups and all-out wars waged by England, France, Spain, the Netherlands, and all those other 18th century superpowers. It wasn't Washington's vision that was realized by the United Nations, but those of two other presidents, Woodrow Wilson's idealistic dream of a world without war, and FDR's determination to promote peace with the weight of force, decidedly un-isolationist. But as the current president offers up the children of undocumented immigrants as political sacrifice, while banning non-Christian immigrants and asylum seekers alike from entering our country, all the while deflecting our attention from an investigation into a foreign power's role in his very election, it would be easy to assume a new age of isolationism is upon us. But what does it even mean to be isolationist in the 21st century, when technology and terrorism have tied us all together? But as we circle our collective wagons, what does American isolation look like in 2017? One nation, indivisible? Left to our own devices, are we tiki torch-wielding white supremacists marching unmasked through college campuses, or an underemployed football player kneeling on the sidelines? And that's only the view from here. What's the message to the world when we unwind NAFTA, redline the Trans-Pacific Partnership, resurrect the travel ban to Cuba, and shout USA like it means you go home? Can we continue to be a haven and a home for the world's best and brightest by locking the door and turning out the lights? In some ways, this whole idea is a fool's errand. You can't unlearn all the benefits of our collective labor. International collaboration breeds progress, be it a space station or a pancake house. We have every tool at our disposal to realize the wildest dreams of every generation that's gone before. But what are we going to do with it? Let's go in. On this episode, a Cuban orchestra and an American pianist make beautiful Mozart together. For most of these young Cubans, it's their first time in America. For the Brooklyn homeowners playing host,
Hola.
It's a chance to help two countries find common ground in sound. And back in the summer of 1776, at the Battle of Brooklyn, we meet General George Washington, who's trying to make America great for the first time. The powerful British Army doesn't think much of their colonial opponents.
They are untrained rabble.
Truth be told, they're not wrong.
We lost this battle. They're glorious about it. But
You're supposed to say spoiler alert. It's the biggest battle of the Revolutionary War and the beginning of America's role in the world as we go in on The View from Here. So where are you from?
I'm from Nepal. You know Nepal?
Oh, yeah, with the mountains.
Mountains.
My best friend's in Tibet right now.
Tibet?
Yeah.
Wow, so I'm very near to Tibet, you know?
Yeah.
We're the adjoining country.
Very cool.
Yeah. First time in US.
In the
Not
US
only in New York,
even.
right? Yeah.
So what did you think about America before you came here and now that you are here?
Yeah, the first thing what I thought about America when I was here, like this, all the towering buildings, all the development, very clean city, very good people, right? But once I came here, like I found like everyone seems very, very, very busy.
Yeah.
No one has a time to talk to anyone, right? But still, it's a good place.
Yeah.
Nice to hang around. And one thing,
Yeah.
very expensive.
Very expensive. The thaw in U.S.-Cuba diplomatic relations reached a melting point this summer when a group of musicians from Cuba arrived in the U.S. for the very first time, in Brooklyn. We were there as they played their first notes in a cross-cultural exchange that was music to our ears.
So Solomon Mikovsky was my piano teacher from when I was 9 until I was 16 when I graduated high school. And he's from Cuba, and in 2013 he decided to start a piano festival in Havana. Solomon invited me back in 2015, and that time he arranged for me to perform a Mozart piano concerto with the Havana Lyceum Orchestra. I immediately felt a connection with these musicians. I just think that they're really unique and so musical, and it was so exciting to perform with them. I thought it would be great if we could record together and record Mozart, because I love the way they play Mozart. And so that's what happened. And then I thought, well, it would be great to bring them to the United States, and that was just around the same time that Obama had started to open up relations with the country. So it was actually a possibility for that to happen. I think that their conductor, Jose Antonio Mendez Pedron, is really careful about their sound and the way they shape the phrases, and they just have a real feeling for the music. It's interesting is that we were just talking with some musicians about what's so special about being in this orchestra, and they were talking, several of them, about how it feels like being in a family, that they've known each other for years, that they're all friends, that they don't regard this as just a job or playing music. It's like communication. Maybe in the United States we equate success more with money. You know, that if you're going to be successful, you should be paid for doing that. And I don't think that the same thing is true here. I notice here that people in the orchestra, they just love what they're doing. And I think when you love what you're doing, then you want to work as hard as possible on it, and that's the reward.
Todos tenemos el corazón, ¿no? Tanto en Estados Unidos como aquí en Cuba. pero precisamente por tener tantas carencias, tanto materiales como en fin, en nuestra vida cotidiana, nos hace que de alguna manera nosotros tengamos un mayor calor humano. Cada uno de nosotros no solamente somos músicos que tocamos juntos en un atril, somos músicos que vivimos pasando los mismos trabajos, somos músicos que tenemos muchas cosas en común y tenemos mucho que hablar sobre esas cosas en común que tenemos. Y eso es algo que pienso que a nivel mundial es algo que falta. Ese calor humano es el tesoro que nosotros tenemos que tal vez falta un poco en Estados Unidos.
Partiendo desde el punto de vista geográfico y político, nosotros somos un país tan diferente a todo. Al ser una isla estamos aislados, valga la redundancia, de tantas cosas que nuestra interpretación siempre va a ser, para bien o para mal, diferente. Yo pienso que tiene más valor que si está estilísticamente o mejor afinada. Para mí tiene mucha importancia cuando lo que tú dices es la verdad, cuando lo que tú estás diciendo es lo que sientes.
I was really excited to welcome the orchestra into Park Slope, which is where I'm from. I grew up there and I live there. So I thought it would be great if the families from Park Slope, from 321 and other families, would house the orchestra. And I sent out letters, and amazingly everybody was really excited. It makes it even more special because it's not just that I'm bringing the orchestra to the United States, but I'm bringing them into my own neighborhood, and they've been welcomed very warmly there.
I guess it was in the fall. There was a notice that went out to the PS 321 community. I love opening up my home to other people, so to me it was really a matter of just opening my home because somebody asked for it and I am able to do it. And I would say that in this community in Park Slope, I think that people are very community-oriented. So tonight I have offered to host the entire orchestra for dinner. Hola! Hola! So that's what we're doing.
Estamos muy felices de poder hacer este tipo de proyectos porque de alguna manera la música nos une, la cultura nos une y gracias a Dios la política nos permite de alguna manera vivir todas estas experiencias. Para decirle también a la comunidad norteamericana que somos cubanos, que hacemos música clásica, pero también hacemos música popular y queremos compartirla, solamente eso, y queremos llevarnos bien y queremos estrechar su mano y queremos decirle que todo está bien, entre nosotros no hay ningún tipo de problema.
Ya llegó el manicero, ya llegó. Ya llegó el manicero, ya llegó.
At this very moment, it's a time when we really need to work on improving relations with other countries. We're living in a time where there's a lot of fear of people that are different, and I think this is a great example of two countries that, haven't known each other for, a long time now, And here we have this incredible communication with each other that's so strong and vibrant. And I feel like it's very important to promote that right now.
So, una palabra para describir Estados Unidos.
Fascinante.
¿Dónde tú vives?
Yo vivo en Madrid,
Ah, Madrid, en
España, sí.
¿Tu primero tiempo en
Sí,
Nueva
es mi
York?
primer viaje aquí a Nueva York, sí.
So, ¿tu impresión de New York?
Es beautiful, maravilloso, estoy emocionada. Es como un decorado de película.
Just like the movie, a picture.
Sí. Nueva York, yo imagino que eso no se puede extrapolar a todos los Estados Unidos. Una ciudad muy cosmopolita, donde la gente es muy simpática, donde hemos notado una ciudad amable, a pesar de que vende una imagen como de una ciudad agresiva, donde está la gente muy estresada. Pero la verdad que todo el mundo ha sido súper amable, muy simpático con nosotros y nosotros vamos así, muy bien, estamos muy emocionados.
Before Washington could warn his new nation against the threat of those foreign entanglements, he had to win a war, a revolution, and the Battle of Brooklyn was a watershed moment in what would become the American experiment. During the course of my reporting, I've dealt with bed bugs, run head-on into walls, even been lit on fire, all in the service of bringing you inside a world rarely seen by outsiders. But for the first time, we're taking you back in time. Kinda. Picture it, Brooklyn, 1776. And I'm in a hunting shirt, typical of a continental soldier. My guide in this quantum leap, historian Barnett Schechter. How significant was this battle to this American experiment?
Well, think of it this way. The Battle of Brooklyn, August 27th, 1776. This was the largest battle of the American Revolution. And if you think about it, the first battle in U.S. history, right? Because the Declaration of Independence, right. Yes. And this was the first battle where we had officially declared that we were a new nation, and now we had to make it a reality.
The reality of that new nation is that it was separated from the old world by a vast ocean, a geographical position that inspired a worldview characterized by isolation.
Don't know much about isolationism. I know about we're trying to gain our independence from Great Britain, but being isolated, I don't know. I have no idea. We've had something going on here in the colonies, going back, I guess, from, this was New Amsterdam, called global trade, but I never heard that term.
If the man credited with laying the foundation of America remaining unbothered by foreign strife never even heard the word, have we made too much of Washington's warning to mind our own business?
Washington looked around and he saw that the United States was blessed with a certain physical isolation, that we had oceans on both east and west, and we were able to try to stay out of the political intrigues that were going on in Europe. And he was afraid that if we did get involved in them, ultimately the United States would lose because we would be manipulated. I don't think Washington wanted us to be completely isolated.
If we got Washington's warning wrong, maybe there were other things about America's first war that deserve re-examination.
What role did
the fair sex play in the war effort?
Significant. Cooking, nursing, sewing, washing, bringing water back and forth to gun crews or soldiers, also stepping into the shoes of men that were killed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and actually picking up arms.
Really?
Yes, also serving as spies, messengers.
Yeah.
At all levels of society.
Full disclosure, I expected to be the only chocolate chip in the cookie today. And then came Marblehead.
Yeah. So the Marbleheaders were a group of fishermen that were fighting the British even before the war officially started. They were defending the cod fishing ground. And the Marbleheaders were comprised of 40% people of color.
Right.
George Washington appealed to the captain of the fleet, which is Captain Glover, and appealed to him to join the Continental Army. So he actually became part of the Continental Army. The men followed him in, became the 14th Continental.
The story of black soldiers doesn't stop there. For many slaves, the revolution provided their first step towards self-determination.
They were told that if you joined the American Army, we'd be given freedom after the war. So, if you're a slave, what's the one thing you want above all? Freedom. But what's not talked about is the other side of the coin. The British also said if you take the king's shilling, we'll give you an acre of land and immediate emancipation. What do you think happened? 11,000 blacks joined the British Army. We were there. We shed our blood. We fought on this ground, and it belongs to us as much as anybody else. This is more than a hobby for me. This is a chance to enlighten African Americans to the role we played in American history.
Well, mission accomplished. And I'll admit, I always thought of historical reenactors at best as nerds playing dress-up, and at worst as racist. Nostalgic for the bad old days when America didn't need to be made great again. Come on. How many of these guys you think will give up their Sunday afternoon to reenact Nat Turner's rebellion? So do you think there are people who fully show up here expecting to live the glory days when America was great, and then they run into your black self and they're like, whoa, wait a minute.
Well, I'm living a story, which is a bit different than Reenactor, right? So we go out and we actually educate. No, so it's not about a glory. What's glory about losing the war? We lost this battle. There's nothing glorious about it. But
You're supposed to say spoiler alert before we get to the battle. So yes, a spoiler alert. If you slept through history class that day, America did in fact lose the Battle of Brooklyn. I'm no oracle, but I think this thing is going to go pretty well for you guys today. You feeling confident about your chances?
I think so. They are untrained rabble.
Outnumbered and outgunned by the Redcoats, those British soldiers, once countrymen, now adversaries, waged war on that rabble. And by battle's end, the Americans suffered 1,000 casualties, to the British loss of only 400 men. But things could have been worse.
Our purpose isn't to come and shoot a bunch of people. Our purpose is to take our relatives, because many of us are related to somebody in the colonies, and shake them a little bit and get them to see the sense of staying part of Britain. You won't see us slaughtering them when we get the opportunity, because we're still hoping that we're going to get them to come back.
While the Brits were endeavoring to cannonball their wayward cousins back into the fold, Americans were flexing their newly declared independence. Nearly 240 years later, the new commander-in-chief is still flexing those muscles, but it's a different world.
Technology, as they say, has created a small world, and we are much more interconnected in terms of information, in terms of travel, and frankly, in terms of our vulnerability to intercontinental ballistic missiles. I don't think we can afford to be isolated.
So sometime into hundreds of years from this battle, this nation might be flirting with some more sort of isolationist tendencies. How do you think that's going to fare for them?
Well, hopefully they'll have a much more organized military, but I would hope that by then they'll have learned more diplomacy skills as well, and the value of having alliances with people in other countries, and maybe they can work things out in a way that doesn't involve guns.
George and what remained of his army escaped into the night, living to fight another day and ultimately, of course, winning the war. And America has, on occasion, learned to employ democracy and rely on alliances. For all their faults, those founders also gave some very sound advice. Let's make new mistakes, America. As the story of our country continues to unfold, we'll be here to show and tell. So make sure you do the same. Find out what we've been up to here at Going In on our YouTube channel, where you'll find past episodes and a whole lot of other good stuff from BRIC TV at youtube.com/BRIC TV. I'm Brian Vine. Bye now.